Hello humans, Tony and Allison here with BlueLion, your HR partners, coming to you today with a new HR hotline question.
The question is, what is reasonable suspicion drug testing? And am I supposed to be doing this?
Yes.
How do I do this?
Yeah. So we get this question a lot. If people think that there's somebody at work who might be under the influence of a substance or alcohol. So we call it reasonable suspicion drug testing, but it also can go for people who might be under the influence of alcohol. So it's a policy that you want to have outlined that states when you do it, what you're going to do when it happens, how you're going to pay somebody, so on and so forth. So there's a lot to it. Some best practices, right? So we talk about what is reasonable suspicion? Like what would maybe indicate somebody may be under the influence?
They're stumbling.
They're stumbling. I've seen stumbling. I've seen
slurring speech,
slurring, falling asleep at their desk, 7,000 cups.
Really hyper when they really shouldn't be.
Yep.
Huge ups, then huge downs.
Yep. And that is
swings.
Absolutely, and that's not always going to dictate necessarily a substance issue or maybe an alcohol issue, but it definitely gives pause that there might be something going on that you want to get to the bottom of. So we encourage that if somebody, usually training your managers on what that looks like and having a 2-manager confirmation, right?
Yeah.
So
anytime you have someone in the business that thinks that somebody might be under the influence and wants to do a reasonable suspicion, you always want to get a second opinion from another manager. So if I think that employee A is having a problem, I'd go to Tony and say, hey Tony, I think employee A is having this problem. Here's what I've seen. Do you mind taking a walk past their desk? Do you mind asking them a question, seeing how they respond to you? Just making sure that it's not situational or that it's not something unique to a situation that had happened. You know, it's not just a 2-minute thing. It is an actual process.
yeah, absolutely. If it does come to that and you bring the employee in, and I always say to have a conversation. So start the conversation and say, listen, there's some employees or there's managers, never giving names, who have concern about some of the way that you're behaving or acting. We have concern that maybe you might be under the influence. Can you talk to us? Pretty quickly you'll recognize if somebody is reacting a certain way to your statement. If you want to move forward with the drug testing, drive them to the facility. Never let them drive themselves.
Do not let them drive.
Don't let them drive. What should we not do?
Don't let them drive.
Don't let them drive. Such a thing, don't do.
You'd be surprised how many people let them drive. Don't let them
Yeah,
drive.
and here's what happens. It's still company time. If they get into an accident on the way to their drug screening tests,
you're liable.
Workers' comp. So don't let them drive to the facility themselves. Have another manager take them.
Or call them a taxi if they're
Yep.
really adamant about not having you bring them, which is fine as well, but
Yep.
get them a ride to the facility.
Absolutely.
You also want to make sure that you're paying for the time, so the time in which they're going to get the drug test is company paid time, that you are going to compensate for the time that they're going to have the test done.
Yep, absolutely. We also want to make sure you document the incident. So you want to document who saw the situation, what were the circumstances around that, what was the activity that was suspicious, what was the conversation you had with the employee, when did they leave, and you don't want to bring them back until that test comes back with the results of either positive or negative, and then following suit with whatever your policy says at that point. If it's negative, excellent, bring them back and maybe have a conversation because there's something else maybe going on with them and you want to make sure that they recognize that you care. And if it is positive, what are your next steps in your handbook for that? Is it a warning? Is it a release of employment? Whatever it might look like, making sure you follow that process.
Ultimately, it's really important to have a written policy and making sure you're following those policies. BlueLion can help you establish those policies. It can be independent from your handbook, or if you have an employee handbook, this would be something that's encompassed in that. But definitely don't hesitate to reach out to BlueLion if you need any help in writing those policies, because that's a service we offer.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so your friends can be as smart as you are.
Nice, that's on video.